The problem with peacekeeping as the war against war is that it really is like a war. Some of the time you're winning, some of the time you're losing. A lot of the time it's really boring and really routine. You have to learn, but you don't get too many chances. It's a great way to spend a life. Like all wars, it's also sort of absurd.
It's everything about being in a war. It is, except that you're actually not a combatant in a war. So you have this weird thing of trying to influence change where you're not always the right suited answer to influence that change. We know that peacekeeping doesn't work in every context, and we know that it's dependent on the will of the Security Council and us getting the resources that we need and everything. But on the ground, none of that matters. None of those things actually are in any way relevant to the people on the ground who are saying, you said you were going to fix this, you were going to build this hospital, you said you were going to protect this camp. Why aren't you here? Because I see you drive every day in your fancy car to talk to us, and I don't see an improvement. You're held accountable to a set of things that are a lot bigger than you, and that actually you don't have any suasion over.
The moment you get on the ground, people have expectations, and somehow we as peacekeepers on the ground have to try to fulfill those expectations. It's not about a hero complex, but it really is about knowing that you have an opportunity to actually make a difference on the ground.
Dag Hammarskjöld, right, famously said, peacekeeping is not a job for soldiers, but only soldiers can do it. I mean, the war against war, military might, is one tool amongst many in a context like Haiti, where the biggest threats to the civilian population are, endemic poverty, environmental degradation, natural disasters. These are things that a military force can't protect the population against. I mean, when you look at the situation that we're facing in Haiti, you really do begin to understand that, peacekeeping is not just about being able to whack bad guys. It really is about trying to help societies build the capabilities and build the capacities that they need to deal with multiple threats.
One of the issues with UN peacekeeping is it's morally complicated. It's not the business of saying every time somebody shoots, you have to stand between them.
I remember when I first went to Congo, I said there are people who are dying in this country. There are people who absolutely have no hope in this country. And there's no way you can simply be an observer. If you cannot go to bed every single night and think that I actually saved a life today, you're not worthy of being in this section. You shouldn't be in this section.
I mean, the successes in peacekeeping are often quiet. They don't involve, acts of overt heroism. It's about the daily grind. It's about the small successes that over time lead to an outcome where people's lives are better than before the peacekeeping operation deployed.
In places that lots of people haven't heard of.
And in places that people haven't heard of. So,
if you want to be loved, if this isn't the career. I mean, every political dynamic that we're in makes it useful for all of the major protagonists to see the UN as the problem. In Bosnia, for example, the only war in modern history in which basically nobody has died of cold and nobody has died of hunger. The United Nations fed 3 million people a day for the 3.5 years of that war. And yet, the United Nations, and above all the peacekeeping force that made it possible, is despised and remembered for its failures. You can't be in this business for love.